Oh my god, this stomach feels like shit.
Oh! I've been fallen!
Hey there! It's story time! This is the story of Mooben Shmirtz. December 1933. As the sun hid behind the dark and gloomy clouds, the wind blows effortlessly through the Boston streets. The smell of Johnson's man fume fills the air. Down the road, we see a small man appear out of the fog. This man's name was Marion Mosby. He's a small African-American man wearing a blue suit jacket with matching white pants, with a luxurious plaid button-down shirt. He smelled of hard work and man fume. He breathed in the autumn air. Autumn had always reminded Marion of Stella, his first and only love. Too bad she really only talked to him during the restraining order request. Marion worked at the Tipton Hotel as the manager and main caregiver for the Tipton's lovely daughter, and heir to the Tipton fortune, London Leah Tipton. Today was Wednesday, Marion's favorite day, because he had an entire hour to himself, without the stresses of work and consumerism. Marion thought it'd be nice and relaxing if he'd take a stroll down to the local bratwurst shop, the Teeny Weeny. As Marion slowly made his way down the unwinding road, he saw a larger, slouching figure in the distance. As the two got closer, Marion could see more distinct features. He was tall and had a long, pointy nose. He spoke with a high-pitched, nasally voice and was wearing a lab coat with the name tag saying, Shmirtz. Marion sees this man every Wednesday working at the Teeny Weeny, but had never actually talked to him or even bothered to remember his name. He thought to himself, maybe I should talk to him and get to know him. I mean, I see him every week, and I can't even remember his name. Marion opened the door to the restaurant, breathing in the erotic smell of long roasting sausages. Marion had walked to the front desk and waited for his turn to touch the strange man. The closer Marion got, the more excited and anxious he became. He'd always thought of this man as a handsome individual, but because of his nervousness, Marion had never gotten the courage to talk to him. Next, said the mysterious man. As Marion walked ever so slowly to the front desk, him and the larger man had remained eye contact. Marion thought it was a sign to approach. Hello? I'd like to have the Drosselstein special, please, Mr. Doofenshmirtz, said Marion nervously. Okay, what's your name? I need to write down the bill, said Doof. Marion Mosby, said the small man. As Doofenshmirtz wrote the name on the check, he had been secretly writing down the name on his sleeve. He had seen Marion every Wednesday for the past year, but was never really attracted to him until he heard the smooth and sensual voice he had. Can I have the wiener now? Said Marion, slowly sweating from his armpits. Yeah, you can, you little dirty whore, said Doof quietly under his breath. Here you go, sir. You don't have to call me sir. You can call me Marion. As a small man, an excited man, walked out of the building, Doof had looked at his sleeve and called out quietly, how could a man so small make me grow so big? As Marion walks back to the Tipton with the big wiener that Doof had made, he couldn't stop thinking about him, about how half his face was a nose, or how his voice was about as nasally as a sick eye on a spring day. He had to talk more. He ran as fast as his little legs could take him, pushing pedestrians out of the way. Marion slammed the door open and yelled, I'm here, Doofy! But to his surprise, he wasn't at the counter. As the customers were in awe of the strange man yelling, crashing through the door, Marion looked throughout the bratwurst shop, looking for his love. After minutes of searching, Marion gave up. Opening the door, he looked across the road and saw his lover on the other side of the sidewalk. Marion, walking across the busy road, had made some of the cars beep for him to get out of the way. Hines looked towards the commotion, locking eyes with the smaller man in the middle of the road. Doof and Marion had talked for a while and then went to get coffee. They talked about themselves, politics, their likes, their dislikes, and other things, for what seemed like hours until Marion offered Doof to come and stay a night at Tipton. Doof happily agreed and quickly ran home and grabbed his stuff for the night. "Norm," shouted Doof to his robot friend assistant, "get my bags!" Norman happily obliged and packed Doof his bags. He started to walk back to the cafe to meet up with Marion. As soon as he got there, he and Marion started walking to the Tipton. Marion was growing bigger as the two slowly closed in on each other. Marion put his hand on Doof's brown receding hair and grabbed him by the waist. The two men locked lips. As they were kissing, the two men started sliding down the hallway to Marion's private room. When walking to the room, still locked, visitors see them and are mortified by the utter amount of vulgarity these men were creating. Closing the door behind them, the men fell onto the bed and had a night of fun. They hugged under the covers. After what seemed like hours, the men wake up lying in each other's arms. "You were great, hon," said Doof, looking sweetly into Marion's chocolate-covered eyes. "Thank you. As for you, my goofy doofy." Then out of nowhere, the Ryan Fitz came and it's like, "It's Wednesday, my dudes." But Marion realized this wasn't right. He closed his eyes and opened them, only returning to his home. And in his bed, he was astonished. He got up, got himself dressed, and went out the door. When reaching the teeny-weeny, he saw his beloved Doof inside, looking miserable, as normal. When Marion slid into the counter, he asked Shmirtz if he'd like his wiener. But to his surprise, he said, "Sir, please stop with your vulgar language and get out of my store." Astonished, the confused Marion got off the counter and asked Doof, "What do you mean, honey? Remember last night?" "Sorry, sir, but I've never met you before. And nothing happened last night between us. I was with my pregnant wife at the hospital waiting for my daughter's delivery." Marion apologized and walked out of the store, crying. "I loved him. What happened?" Marion ran to the Tipton and into his office. He was in shock because of what just happened. It all seemed too real to have been a dream. Marion was so upset he had forgotten to buy his lunch from the teeny-weeny. He was starving, upset, and started yelling very vulgar things about how he hated his life. After what seemed like hours of Marion crying and muttering to himself, "I don't need him. After all, I never actually met him. So, it might be different." Dreamed of. He vowed never to go back there again. That's all the time we have for now.